Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Cheryl if you're new here, and today I'm here to bring you my least favorite books of 2017. This is the most controversial video that most people who participate in BookTube upload every year because it's throwing shade at some books. But it's my favorite video to film because I like throwing shade at books, so yeah. Just general disclaimer here that's on every one of these videos. If I list a book you loved, it's not a personal attack, so hop off it, because I don't want to see my comment section full of, oh my god, I can't believe you didn't like this book, you're evil. Which you might laugh at, but people get comments like that, and I've gotten comments like that before, so yeah, just gonna have a pleasant discussion. I might not go into a whole lot of detail about each individual book and what I hated about it. If I have a Goodreads review written, or if I have a video of it filmed, I will leave those linked down below. So yeah, without further ado, let's just talk about the books I hated in 2017. So I was really not sure how to phrase this, because there's a difference between books that disappoint me and books I hate. For example, I didn't particularly care for Nevernight. It disappointed me, but I didn't hate it. The story was good, I just didn't like the writing and the annotations, and it just didn't live up to the hype. Does that mean I think it's a bad book? No. So I just wasn't quite sure how I wanted to make this list. But I think I'm going to stick really just to the books that I did not like, that I hated. So you might have heard me talk about some of these before. Yeah, they're not really in any particular order. So without further ado, let's just get to it. So like Nevernight, this first one is one that I didn't hate. It doesn't anger me the way some of these other ones do. But I just was like, that's it. I expected so much more. And that is The Rest of Us Just Live Here by Patrick Ness. If you watch my review of this, which I think I uploaded a review for. I'm such a good booktuber. I talked about how I enjoyed this book a lot in premise. Basically, you have your chosen one hero story that you get in YA, fantasy and stuff, and we always follow the chosen one and their companions as they go off in adventure, and they leave a lot of times destruction in their wake, but they're the heroes, so we follow them. Well, this book follows all the people who live in the town where the destruction happens, who just kind of have to deal with those chosen ones running off and doing what they need to do to save the world. So the concept is really cool, because you always wonder, what are those people who live in the area where the chosen one runs through and just kind of does their thing, how are they affected? But in execution, this book just fell flat. The characters were really boring, the entire plot was really boring, and just, honestly, I didn't really know what was happening with the chosen one and what the background story was supposed to be. It wasn't well executed, and unfortunately it was the first Patrick Ness book I've ever read. I have not read anything of his since. I don't know if I'm going to. It kind of left a sour taste in my mouth, so we shall see. Alright, the second book is one of these ones where I was enjoying it for most of the book, and then I was like, are you fucking kidding me? And that is Life of Pi. I read this book for the first time this year, and I know a lot of people have already read it. I'm kind of late to the party, but what the fuck was that ending? Oh my god, I hate ambiguous endings in books and movies, and that's just a personal pet peeve, but the ending to Life of Pi just pissed me off, because it was so pretentiously ambiguous. And to be fair, the book was really boring for most of it anyway. It was just page after page after page of just repetitive, I get there's only so much you can do when you're on a boat with a tiger, but with how hyped this book was and how popular it is, I kind of expected more from it, and maybe that's my problem, is just I go into these books with such high expectations that they just don't live up to it, but yeah. So this next book is one I actually just finished reading last night, and that is Asylum. And this book, I think I gave it a 1.5, 1.5, 2 stars, somewhere in that range. It was definitely trying to live off the hype of Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. It had the spooky setting, it had the creepy pictures, it was riding that hype train, trying to get out there. Unfortunately, I could tell that, and it was so not well executed. So the story is basically that the main character, Dan, goes off to this summer camp type thing where they, for a few weeks, get to visit this college campus and take classes, and they get to change up the classes they take every week or so, and basically what the point is they get to experience like college courses before they go to college. And like, so it's a program for super smart people, as we are reminded many times on the pages that Dan is supposed to be very smart. What's the twist in this is that the dorms that they would normally be staying in are being renovated, so they are staying at like the previously renovated insane asylum that's like next to campus for whatever reason, and so that's where they're housed for the duration of their program. And it's just so predictable. This book was so predictable. I literally, like, on the 5th page called like the major plot twist. And part of that is like the book's fault because it's so predictable, because I'm not the best at like picking up on like nuances and plot twists and being able to like, oh, I know that's what's gonna happen. So if I'm able to, from like the 5th page, you know what the fuck's going on. Like, and everything is just super like predictable and expected. Nothing is new. This book does not bring anything new to the table. And the character dynamics were so fucked up. Like, Dan is supposed to have like social anxiety, and he's supposed to have been incapacitated by his social anxiety before, and it takes a lot for him to meet new people and make new friends. Yet he meets these 2 people, and literally by the 3rd day they are best friends, like blood brothers type best friends. One of these characters, it's a little unrealistic and unbelievable, and then just other interactions with them are also unbelievable. If you want, I just did a Goodreads review of this if you want to read my thoughts below. Also, the pictures were just laughably bad. They were so clearly photoshopped and just didn't make sense in the story. It just wasn't good. It wasn't spooky. It just, no. So this next one is one that I don't even know what to say. I went on such a rant about this book before on my channel, and if you've been here before, you know what I'm talking about, and that is Accidental Abduction. Oh, this dumpster fire of a book. It was a free ebook, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're gonna be bad. I've read some free ebooks that have been better than some books I've paid for. Like, that's not an indication of a bad book. What's an indication of a bad book is when this book, like, excuses rape and, like, expects it. The main character says she's ugly for not being raped, and, like, it's so sexist, so misogynistic. It's so badly written to begin with. The plot is just stupid. There's just so many bad things about this book. I mean, look at the cover. Like, I don't know what I was expecting. There's so much internalized misogyny in this book that she doesn't even come across another female character and still manages to slut shame and all of it. I just don't get it. It's bad. It's bad. It's a shit show of a book. I would not even recommend it for free. Oh, and Goodreads, or rather Amazon, keeps emailing me and keeps, like, recommending me, I guess. This author apparently published a new book. So Goodreads, or Amazon is like, hey, she published a new book. We know you read her other book. You want to or you bought it at least. Do you want to read this new one? And I'm like, no, I would never. Oh, dang, there goes my book. I would never put myself through that. I wouldn't even want to put my worst enemy through that. Alright, the next book I'm going to talk about is one I read pretty early this year, and that was Dead Until Dark, you know, the whole True Blood series. It's the first one. It was not good. I mean, it just... Once again, a lot of internalized misogyny in this series, and a lot of, like, weird sexism that doesn't need to exist, and weird character making, just like character decisions, and just like 2 paragraphs about this man's fucking corduroy pants from Gap. I don't need to know where they came from. Ugh. It just was not well written, and I don't feel any need to continue the series. I might watch the show one day. I've heard at least the first half of the show is good. So, who knows? But I'm not going to be reading the books anymore because it was not good. I did not enjoy it. And the last book, and, probably the one that got me most heated. I have like a 20-minute rant about this book, which not many people have read or watched because no one knows this series, really. Which is surprising because it was a popular, I guess, fantasy series back in the day. And this is Blood of the Fold by Terry Goodkind. This is the third, one of those books in his Wizard's First Rule series, which is a series I loved when I was in high school. I only read up to like book 5, I think, but I love this series. It was so much fun. It's an epic high fantasy series, has exactly what you'd expect. Adventure, dragons, romance, like everything you would have come to expect in a high fantasy series because it's extremely fucking cliche. And so I enjoyed it though. I had not read very many series like that before. The writing was pretentious, but it was addicting in the way that like it didn't feel like a 1,000-page book. It felt like something crazy was happening every page when I first read it. And I decided to reread the series so I can continue on because there's like 1,000+ books in this series, or so it seems. And the first book was alright. I was like, okay, this isn't quite as good as I remember it. Second book was like, this is not good. And the third book was a dumpster fire, to reuse my phrase. This book has so much sexism and so much misogyny. And as you can tell, this is like a clear reason I don't... If your book has this, I'm not going to like it. And it's apparently going to make my bad list of whatever year I read it in. But there was so much internalized, like, not even internalized, there's so much fucking misogyny in this book. Every female character only existed to serve the male character, the male main character. And the romance was so insta-lovey, and it was just so... I don't really know how else to phrase it. There was just so much about this book that did not need to happen. And it's very clear that the author was living super vicariously through this main character, and that he, I guess, was wronged by women in his past or something, because he is clearly taking it out on all of his female characters who have gone through just unimaginable trauma to suit the male characters in the series. And just... I'm getting angry. I've got notes on it in my little notebook here, and it's just... yeah, male power fantasy. There's a very black and white view of good and evil. There are no morally gray characters. You are either, like, perfect, or you are, like, literally Satan himself. There is, like, nothing in between when it comes to these characters. And that's just not realistic. Like, people make morally gray decisions. It happens. And to have your character be so perfect and the evil guys, like, it's not bad, it's not enough for them just to be evil. They've got to be evil and also rape an entire village. Like... There's also a lot of rape in this book and a lot of sex because, once again, Terry Goodkind has some, like, deep-rooted issues he never, worked through. If you're interested in more of my ranty thoughts about it, check that video out below. I get heated. But yes, it's just... It was probably my least favorite book of the year because it's the book that made me the most angry. It's not the worst book I've read. That would still probably be, Accidental Abduction, because, literally speaking, that's the worst book I read. But Blood of the Fold probably got me the angriest. So those are all the books I read in 2017 that I did not like for one reason or another. Like I said a couple times already, I do have reviews either in video form or on Goodreads of these. We'll leave those linked down below. Check them out if you're interested in more of my thoughts in depth. Yes. These books made me angry. There's not really any point in continuing to talk about them because I'm just gonna get angry. So I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!